Good evening and welcome to tonight's Prince George's County Council District 8 Special Election Candidate Forum sponsored by the South County Alliance. The Alliance is a coalition of 9 homeowner associations, civic associations, and nonprofit organizations located in southern Prince George's County. On the screen in just a few moments will be a slide which lists the participating Alliance organizations that made tonight's candidate forum possible. And Tanya, you can put that slide up. Thank you. These Alliance members are also listed on the flyer that went out for tonight's candidate forum. There are a number of important races in next year's election. The Alliance, through its participating organizations, will keep you informed of any future candidate forums we plan to sponsor in 2022. My name is Zeno W. St. Cyr II, representing the Greater South County Coalition for Absolute Progress, the South County Economic Development Association, the Riverbend Citizens Homeowners Association, and the South County Alliance. I will serve as moderator for tonight's forum, which features 5 of the 6 candidates in this special election primary for the Prince George's County Council District 8 seat. Those 5 candidates are, in alphabetical order, Edward Burroughs III, Sidney Gibson, Tony Knox, Jerry Mathis, and Vernon Wade. The 6th candidate, Marjorie Smith, informed us that due to a scheduling conflict, she would not be able to participate in tonight's candidate forum. The following rules will be observed during this forum. The candidate forum will be recorded, and the recording will be made available to Alliance participating organizations for posting on their websites. Everyone attending the forum will be placed on mute, and there will be no video with the exception of the candidates, the moderator, and the timekeeper. The moderator will ask the questions and and call on each candidate to answer. Questions from the community must have been submitted in advance, and some may be asked after the other forum questions are completed. There will be no chat session available for this forum, and no private messages are to be placed in the chat. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to provide an opening statement. Following opening statements, I will pose questions to candidates on topics that include qualifications, vision, leadership, education, transportation, public safety, and quality of life. As previously mentioned, questions from the community were collected and sorted by our volunteers prior to tonight's forum. Time permitting, some of those questions will be posed to candidates after our other questions are completed. All candidates will be allowed 1 minute to respond to each question. Time limits on responses will be strictly observed. A timekeeper visible to the candidates will monitor the time and indicate when time has expired. The speaker must end his response when the time has expired. Ron Weiss, representing the Indian Head Highway Area Action Council, the Tantalon Citizens Association, and the South County Alliance, will serve as tonight's timekeeper. Following the questions, each candidate will be given 2 minutes to provide a closing statement. So, let's begin opening statements from the candidates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes, and we will begin with Edward Burroughs, followed by Sidney Gibson, then Tony Knox, then Jerry Mathis, and Vernon Wade in that order. Mr. Burroughs.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate every one of the partnering organizations and all the residents who are on the line tonight. My name is Edward Burroughs, and I'm running for County Council District 8. I was raised right in this community, as most of you know. I graduated of Crossland High School, then went over to Bowie State, and then the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I was raised from the Heart Church Ministries, but when I was a student at Bowie, I joined Victory Christian Ministries International as an additional church home. Professionally, I serve as the Legislative Affairs Director for our state's attorney, Aisha Braveboy, where I work on a lot of different bills around different subjects, but mainly making our criminal justice system fairer and making our community safer. I'm running because I know that in District 8, we deserve better. We deserve a county government that is responsive and working for the needs of the residents who live here. As you all know, we pay some of the highest property taxes in the region, and it's important that we receive the benefits of that investment. I want to ensure that when we have these large projects and government contracts that we recruit, hire, and train Prince George's County residents to work on those jobs. I also want to make sure that the very basic needs of the community are met as it relates to sanitation and cleanliness. It's important that our medians are well cut and kept as well. As it relates to development, I want to make sure that we have development that uplifts our community, that doesn't overburden our community, that doesn't destroy our community. And I look forward to talking with you all tonight about my vision and plan for District 8, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Zena, you just want me to start?
Mr. Gibson, sure, go right ahead.
All right. Good evening, happy holidays to everyone. My name is Sidney Gibson. I'd like to be your county council member. I am married to the incredible Doris Gibson, and we have raised 2 wonderful children in the county. We are vaccinated, including the dog. We are longtime residents and homeowners, and I want to thank you to the host organizations with a special shout out to my friends in CETA and IHAC, and to my church family in St. Mark AME in Forest Heights. Vision, or instilling the opening, I want a diverse, inclusive, and accepting community that has something for all residents. We are not the testing grounds for developers. I will demand developers become our partners. We don't deserve overcrowded schools, unmaintained common areas, undefined trails, and outdated facilities. Smart growth requires us to engage developers to ensure they know what we want in requirements and present a development that is a win-win. I want to ensure there are educational opportunities for all. I have been very active in the community. For example, I started the scholarship program for CETA and served a term as its president. Also, I served as a board member for IHAC. I care. I'm an educator. I've taught at the undergraduate level at University of Maryland University College, not UMGC, and currently I'm your representative on the Prince George's County Board of Trustees for over 8 years. As such, I'm responsible for educating high schoolers to seniors and beyond. High schoolers who want to get a head start on college can attend. Traditional students looking for a local, affordable, and quality education can attend. Entrepreneurs can use our incubators, and folks looking for a better job can learn skills there. I have led the board as chair for the last 3 years. During this time, we have converted to an all online and back to in classes due to COVID. We have enhanced our wraparound services and improved our student success. And we successfully hired a STARS president to take over from the retired Dr. Dukes. Also, our budget is over $100 million, and we have not had tuition increases during my tenure as chair. I care about the community. I want to represent you, and I want to have a dialogue to help us all move forward together. Thank you. My name is Sidney Gibson.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tony Knox, and I'm running for Prince George's County Council, District 8. My qualifications are, I'm a Vietnam veteran. I worked for the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission as a strategic plan and minority business enterprise officer. I've also been on the county council, and I've served in the chairmanship during the 2002 to 2010 period. I'm most qualified for this position because I understand how it works. I believe that I can bring some stability to Prince George's County, which it seemed to be somewhat has been lost. I know where the bathrooms are in the new building. I'm a person that's been battle tested and prepared and ready to work. I do believe that Prince George's County can do better. I think that there is a memorandum of understanding with the state that the state probably isn't working with the county as far as the aesthetics of the county. When you start looking at the high grass and the uncut grass in the mediums, when you find that there's enough budget money to serve Waldorf or other parts of the county, but when it comes to Prince George's County, there seems to be not enough money. We need to work with that, and I will work for you and continue to work for you in the capacity of your representative in Annapolis, for Marlboro, and work with our colleagues in Annapolis to make sure that things are done and done well. I believe that as a leader in Prince George's County, I've proven what I can do with the $9.5 million that we've generated for the Sports and Tech Center, Team Builders Academy, which is a working program for young people that want to go to school. They go to college through Prince George's County. I've actually brought a commercially tax-based project with National Harbor, and I can do much more. I just need your vote. Uncle Sam called for me to be his person, and I'm calling on you to be your person to represent you on the Prince George's County Council. Thank you.
You're muted, Mr. Mathis.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Again, my name is Jerry Mathis. I am the owner and CEO of Mathis Realtors since 1994. I've run that business and it became one of the largest real estate companies in the Washington metropolitan area and the largest minority real estate company. But when I opened it in 1994, many of you may not know me because of the things that I've done. But if I just gave you a brief synopsis going back to year 2000. Dear Mr. Mathis, thank you for coming to my office to calmly discuss Fort Washington Park. That was by Senator Paul Sarbanes. So I've been out there for a while. Another one, dear Mr. Mathis, thank you for participating in the Wilson Bridge Committee. What was the Wilson Bridge Committee? I was on the committee our job was to design the Wilson Bridge, the new Wilson Bridge. And right now you have a 12 lanes and one of them retrofitted for Metro when the 3 jurisdictions can get the money. The other thing you may want to know is about National Harbor. I fought against National Harbor, not because I didn't want it there, but I wanted to make sure that Prince Georgians and minorities got a big piece of the pie. And as a result, I was constantly involved with what went on there. I have a letter from Mr. Milk Peterson. And Mr. Peterson says, I want to thank you, Mr. Mathis, for coming to our office so we can calmly discuss issues for the plans of National Harbor. Although I ran a business, my biggest concerns in my heart was in being an activist, a community activist in Prince George's County. I never looked for fame or glory or get my name out there. What I did was to make sure that you got what you deserve. Thank you so much and have a good day.
I believe it's my turn now. I'd like to say hello to everyone and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here for this very important event. Leadership matters, and a vote for Vernon Wade will ensure your voice is heard. I am a husband and father of 3 Prince George's County Public School graduates and a local business owner. I'm also a student at the University of the District of Columbia, where I major in environmental science, agriculture, and urban sustainability. I understand what it takes to raise a family in Prince George's County. I know the fight to keep your home. I know the struggle to pay utility bills and put food on the table. I understand taking care of elder loved ones fighting cancer. I've also felt the pain from gun violence. A vote for Vernon Wade for leadership connected to the community. Together we will build a vibrant community that focuses on education, economics, jobs, healthcare, energy equity, and environmental sustainability and public safety. As a community service leader, I was president and executive board member of the Oxon Hill Middle School and Crossland High School PTSA, and the first African-American male parent board president at the Bishop McNamara College Preparatory High School. I was also youth development basketball and football coach for the Fort Washington Cannons Boys and Girls Club, Glass Manor, Marlow Heights, and Temple Hills Community Center. I've been involved with the young people. I was chair of the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce Green Technology and Environmental Sustainability Committee. As most of you all know, the vice president was in our county today, focusing on renewable energy and climate change. That's what I bring to the table: the knowledge, the skill, the willpower, and the ingenuity and innovation to lead our county.
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks to all the candidates. Now we'll begin our questions. All candidates will have an opportunity to respond to each question, and will be given 1 minute for a response. Our first question concerns your vision for District 8. What do you see as the 3 most significant issues in District 8, and how do you propose to address them? We'll begin with Sidney Gibson, followed by Tony Knox, Jerry Mathis, Vernon Wade, then Edward Burroughs.
Education, 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 but not in that order. Okay. One of the things that we've encountered when we talk about development, I'm going to talk specifically about National Harbor. And one of the things I think we need to grow that's going to help us in, as others have said, raise money and how we can put more into education and put more into our infrastructure, is when we talk about minority business opportunities, we need to make sure that they're focused on local. Again, if we have a minority business person from outside the county benefiting from a program inside the county, how does that help us? How does that help our tax base? How does that help our infrastructure? How does that help us pay not only for our K through 12, but our community college and other universities that we have inside the county? So I think we have to focus on how do we make sure that our tax dollars are focused to residents in the county to make sure that we can spend it on folks in the county to improve our educational opportunities. Thank you.
I believe that education is very important, and I think that is the driving force for bringing families to our communities. If we offer the best education, families will come. They will come, jobs will happen. People will work in our community, taxes will be paid in our community. And so education, and jobs, employment is essential. Making sure that young people, after they finish their college degree, come back and provide those skills to Prince George's County. So again, education is important, employment is important, but the aesthetics of our community is ever so important. How do we beautify our communities? And that's what I would work as far as one of the 3 issues that are very important to me as a representative of Prince George's County Council.
First and foremost, I would like to see the citizens of Prince George's County and District 8 take control of our own destiny. For too long, we have continued to do the same things over and over and over. For instance, one of the biggest things I want to see as a former director of the Board of Realtors, we need to understand that our values of our properties are not increasing, that our taxes are too high, and the schools in our district are not performing the way that they should, and they haven't been over a long period of years. So we have to focus on all the elements: education, economic development, and the beauty of our county. And we have to coalesce all of that together so we can take control of our destiny and move forward instead of continuing to roll that wheel over and over. Paul Laurence Dunbar said, past is prologue. We have to learn from the past in order to get to the future. Thank you so much.
not sure who's next, but
you're next.
Yes, I'll go. You know, I think the most important issues addressing our county right now is the COVID-19 pandemic and getting our residents healthy to be able to survive, to be able to receive economic benefits, to be able to own a house, to be able to have a quality of life. We must make it through this COVID pandemic safely. And I am a proponent of emergency preparedness and building community resiliency so that we have a community that is not reliant on, as we can see right now with the logistic issues we're dealing with. If the grocery store closed tomorrow, where would we get food? How would we survive? So we need to learn, we need to be prepared to be able to survive and to make it through this pandemic. I think that is one of the most important issues that we are addressing right now, along with education and climate change. I feel as though if you elect me as the District 8 council person, I will make sure that these things are done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I would say that I would be laser focused on economic issues. So many of our concerns that exist in our community stem out of financial insecurity. When you look at education, our students cannot learn if they are under the threat of eviction. It's very difficult for them. And so we really need to ensure that we create quality jobs and uplift people who live here. I agree with Mr. Mathis around the tax issue. I've spoken to so many senior citizens who are on fixed incomes who simply cannot afford the property taxes any longer. And so that is another economic issue. I will not vote to raise your property taxes. And then also around the workforce development. There needs to be a greater partnership between the school system, the community college, the development community, and the business community around preparing our young people who are not all going to college, and not just young people, but people who are looking for the career. All right, see the stop sign. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question concerns leadership as well as quality of life. Several communities in District 8 are plagued by poor stormwater management that causes chronic flooding, crumbling retaining walls, and sinkholes that cause damage to streets, foundations, and homes. What would you do to improve the aging infrastructure in District 8? We will begin with Tony Knox, followed by Jerry Mathis, Vernon Wade, Edward Burroughs, then Sidney Gibson. You have 1 minute to respond.
Well, the first thing I would do is call the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission in. I think that there's a lot of water lines infrastructure problems because a lot of these pipes that's underground are aged and they're compromised by either tree roots or whatever. The fact of the matter is that they've been there too long and they're breaking. Marlboro clay is the biggest impediment that Prince George's County has. We have nothing but Marlboro clay around. That's what's causing the properties to slope. That's what's causing the infrastructure to crumble. And so with calling the WSSC in to deal with the water issue and the drainage problems is the first step in getting a lot of these problems resolved. We need to bring these utilities that put their lines underneath the ground to make sure that they are aware of the damages they may be causing, long-term or short-term. So I will work diligently and effectively to bring these utilities together to get the job done for you.
Is that me, Zeno?
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Mathis.
One thing that I like to attack that a lot of people don't know about, we have a lot of Superfund sites right here in District 8. What are Superfund sites? These are dumps that people and organizations from other counties and other jurisdictions brought into Prince George's County. And you ride around, you see the big hills, you see Tucker Road, a lot of particulate matter and carbon is going into the atmosphere. We're causing cancer in a lot of our communities. So these are the things we have to attack. Climate change is causing this, but what are we doing to push climate change? We are allowing these sites in our communities. and it's causing a lot of problems. We know in Fort Washington where the grounds were slipping and the county had to buy land from property owners. These situations can be attacked, they can be resolved, but we need a committed leader to take care of these. Thank you.
I don't see a hand.
Mr. Wade.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Zeno. That's a very important question. It's a very important issue that the residents of District 8 are dealing with. And I'm the most qualified candidate to handle those problems in District 8 as a result of climate change. My neighbors and I personally developed a strategy to reduce stormwater runoff on our properties. We came together as a community, and we got the Department of Public Works and Transportation, and we also got the Department of Environment to come out, and we put together a stormwater management plan that utilized the resources from the capital improvement projects, and also through the Chesapeake Bay Foundation Rain Check Rebate Program to help us mitigate the stormwater management problem that we're dealing with. And together we are able to mitigate the sediment and stormwater runoff from entering into the Chesapeake Bay and prevent flooding on our properties. So I would like to take that information and those resources and share them with the residents of District 8 so that they too can protect their property.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Wade.
I appreciate you.
Mr. Burroughs.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, this is such a large problem across the district, and you literally have citizens with their livelihoods in jeopardy, their resources in jeopardy, their homes. You know, we have so many of our residents who have a lot of wealth into their homes, and our homes are being destroyed as a result of this issue. Ultimately, this comes down to what the county government should be doing to protect its residents. I think it's important that we not overdevelop to the point where the infrastructure can't support it, number one. And number two, I think the county government should bring in a team of experts in this area and then fund their report, fund their recommendation. At the end of the day, this is going to need to be a priority of the county government, and the county government is going to have to make an investment. At the end of the day, all of these plans is going to require millions of dollars to help address something that should have been addressed prior. And so I would work with my colleagues on the council. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson.
Thank you. Basically, our infrastructure needs funding. What we said, bringing in Public Works and bringing WSSC, the example, when we had an incident down in Fort Washington, I mean, basically the county exec came with some funds, and exactly what Jerry said, we had some people who were bought out because their homes were lost. So again, we have to do an assessment, but as far as needing funding, it's like, who's going to fight to make sure that we have the infrastructure funding we need to make sure runoff doesn't happen in other areas and that we protect our homes. And I will be your advocate to make sure that we have our funding down inside of District 8 to ensure that our homes are protected. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. This next question concerns your qualifications to serve on the county council. Please explain why you are the best candidate seeking this office, and provide 2 or 3 substantive examples of your legislative or programmatic accomplishments that have made a significant difference in our community. We will begin with Mr. Mathis, followed by Vernon Wade, then Edward Burroughs, Sidney Gibson, and Tony Knox.
Thank you. Just a little bit back on the last question. I spent 2 days down at the Department of the Environment in Baltimore to look into these issues about environmental injustice. Now, first of all, as I mentioned to you, I'm CEO of a large real estate company. We were large. I'm close to retirement as far as that, so I can put more time into the county council. I was a military officer with the famed 82nd Airborne Division as a paratrooper. And I led men that were the elite soldiers. And in addition to that, I taught school for 5 years in Anne Arundel County. In addition to that, as I mentioned, on the board of directors for a real estate board. In addition to, along with Sydney, before Sydney came on, I was on the board of trustees of the Prince George's Community College. So I've been there. I've went to numerous council meetings to speak on the behalf of the community, and I'll continue to do that. Thank you.
Mr. Wade.
Okay, would you repeat that question again, Zeno?
Sure. Please explain why you are the best candidate seeking this office and provide 2 or 3 substantive examples of your legislative or programmatic accomplishments that have made a significant difference in our community.
Thank you for that question, Zeno. I have been the reason why I feel like I deserve, or I feel for this position, is because civic duty is an obligation of a resident, of a citizen. Your civic duty is a part of who we are as individuals, as community residents. That your civic duty is to vote and to be involved. And as from that perspective, that is why I am running for our District 8 councilperson. One of my greatest accomplishments, I believe, I would say, is the climate action plan. I was on one of the original members of the Prince George's County Climate Action Plan, which actually introduced benchmarks to gauge where we are today in the 2035 development of the Climate Action Sustainability Plan. So I've been involved in leadership role and
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Wade.
I appreciate you.
Ed Burroughs.
Yes, and I see a note for technical support about adding captions so that our residents who are hearing impaired can follow along.
Thank you, Mr. Burroughs. Yes, that feature is enabled and our audience can activate it individually on their computer screen.
Thank you very much. You know, I believe that I would be the best person to serve on the council because number one, I'm going to work really hard. Had a number of issues that have plagued our community for a long time. And I think we need someone in the seat that's going to work extremely hard to tackle those issues. I plan to be a very responsive council member. I plan to not only show up to the civic associations, the PTSAs, but also I want to continue my door knocking program as a council member. I currently right now serve as a legislative affairs director for our state's attorney, Aisha Braveboy, where my job is to write laws to make our community safer and to make our criminal justice system more just. As far as an accomplishment, when I was on the school board, I passed the school system's first ever community workforce agreement, which forced contractors to recruit, hire, and train Prince George's County residents to work on a particular scope of work.
Thank you.
Ron, I'm gonna need you to say something because you've gone out of my panel. So if you throw up the stop sign, I won't see it. All right, leadership. I've been in leadership locally with not only on the Central Committee, CETA, IHAC, just to name a few. But like I said, I'm in my 8th year on the Board of Trustees on the Community College, 3rd year as chair. As I said earlier, we haven't had a tuition increase. We've named a building after Dr. Dukes. One of the first on campus to be named after a Black female. And again, as far as what most of you might not know, we've gone over a presidential succession.
30 seconds.
All right, thank you. Dr. Williams stepped in, took the baton from Dr. Dukes August of last year. Hopefully most of you aren't aware of that. And again, the community college hasn't missed a beat. One of the big things we're preparing for is with Amazon coming, as was brought up earlier, workforce development to make sure that we have that our residents will be educated and have the opportunities to take some of these economic opportunities when they come on. Thank you.
My turn?
Yes, Mr. Knox.
The reason why I believe I'm the best candidate for this particular position is because I've been there before. I've served on the Prince George's County Council for 8.5 years. Term limits disqualified from me running for that office again. But then I ran for the House of Delegates. I have proven leadership not only on the county council, because I led the county council during the 2004 session, 2005 session, I think it was. Again, I've been in the military, Marine Corps, I've been to Vietnam, I've been battle tested. My proven accomplishments has been, as I said earlier, I secured $9.5 million for the Sports and Tech Center, National Harbor with a commercial tax base, which Prince George's County needed. I've the Oxon Hill High School, and also the Oxon Hill High School and auditorium, and also Crossing High School auditorium. Team Builders Academy, you can go online, Team Builders Academy, you can see how their people are getting jobs and going to college. This is what I'll continue to do.
Thank you. For our next question on transportation, we will begin with Vernon Wade, followed by Edward Burroughs, then Sidney Gibson, Tony Knox, and Jerry Mathis. Transportation in the Branch Avenue and Indian Head Highway corridors are horrendous. As councilman, what would you propose to improve traffic and public transportation options in each of these corridors?
Well, thank you for that question, Dino. First of all, I'd like to start off by saying, as I believe in public transportation, I take my wife to the Branch Avenue Metro station pretty much every morning, and she takes the Metro to work, the Metro train to work. We find it to be a very economical and very efficient way of traveling to reduce traffic congestion on our roads. The issue that we do face with public transportation is safety. I think more people would be involved or would use public transportation if they felt safe, if it was clean, if it's efficient. But I'm a big supporter of public transportation. And not only to mention Allentown Road included in that transportation congestion as well. Where I live, there are traffic accidents practically every night because of no traffic signals along Allentown Road. And so I would work to improve those issues on our roadways.
Mr. Burroughs?
Would you mind repeating the first part of the question?
Sure. Transportation in the Branch Avenue and Indian Head Highway corridors are horrendous. As councilman, what would you propose to improve traffic and public transportation options in each of these corridors?
Absolutely. There definitely needs to be a partnership between the county and the state as it relates to both of those projects, particularly 210. 210 is downright dangerous. I've spoken to so many of our residents who are just afraid to even drive on it. And so there, at one point in time, there were large investments to fix up 210 that no longer exist now. And so I would be working with our state officials to bring those resources back, address some of those issues as it relates to 210. I also agree that public transportation is a huge priority. We have so many residents who rely on it and who need it. I think if the transportation system were stronger, we would frankly have more folks able to work because it's such a significant issue, getting to and from work.
Ms. Gibson?
Safe, reliable, and affordable transportation is vital to us returning to normal. Seniors, youth, and residents count on public transportation to maintain their independence and dignity. My mom couldn't use the bus to get to the Camp Springs Community Senior Center, as she had a companion who would have displaced another senior due to space requirements. Should our seniors have to use their motorized wheelchairs to cross 210 to do basic shopping? That is why we need safe, reliable, and affordable transportation. Folks should not have to choose between socializing with friends and safety. This is 2021. We need to ensure that the State Highway Administration improves 210 in a way that does not harm our community. From 2012 to 2016, there were 1,235 crashes along 210. With the elimination of traffic lights to ensure the residents of Charles County get home quicker, we have to ensure 210 does not become a drag race track. It is up to all of us to collectively propose and push for safety measures. We don't want fatalities like the pedestrian who was hit in 2018.
Thank you.
When we think of it, transportation, we have to think of our neighbors beyond Prince George's County. Brookings did a study years ago, and it called a region divided. And what it said was that what happens in the east happens in the west, what happens in the north affects the south. And basically what it's saying is that we have to start looking outside of Prince George's County to solve this problem, because Prince George's County isn't causing the problem. What's causing the problem are the people that's coming into Prince George's County or coming through Prince George's County. So working with our state officials to do this and to coordinate a constructive plan to deal with the problems outside of Prince George's County, transportation problems outside of Prince George's County, I'm sure we can resolve the problems that's in Prince George's County. Transportation is not one-dimensional, it's multi-dimensional, and that's how we got to look at it.
Does that mean, Zeno?
Yes.
Okay. Many of the commissions that I was on, and I wasn't in office, folks. This is Jerry Mathis, a citizen. I was appointed by Wayne Curry, probably the best county executive we ever had. This that I'm showing you is Commission 2000 that I was on, and we tackle the problems with transportation in the whole county, but specifically the areas like 210, where a lot of accidents were happening. I was on the 210 Focus Committee. What you see happening today on Indian Head Highway as far as the construction, I spent many a nights with some other stakeholders, and we helped the Department of Transportation design what you see now on Indian Head Highway. And there are more plans in this book, but we do have to get financing to make it happen. But folks, this was not Jerry Mathis, the council person or the county executive or whatever. This was Jerry Mathis, a citizen who spent numerous nights tackling all the issues that we're talking about tonight. And I did it because I am a citizen. I live in this county. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to stick with transportation and also deal with economic development as the focus of the next question. National Harbor is now a major employment hub and economic engine for Prince George's County and the state of Maryland. While public transportation options have improved for visitors and workers at National Harbor, as well as for residents of the area, more improvements are needed, particularly in light of the new federal infrastructure funding that is expected to be available soon. What would you do to foster implementation of WMATA's recent plan that would extend Metro's Blue Line across the Woodrow Wilson Bridge with a stop at National Harbor? We will begin with Mr. Burroughs, followed by Sidney Gibson, then Tony Knox, Jerry Mathis, and Vernon Wade.
Yes, I believe that would be an awesome development. And you mentioned the federal government resources that we are receiving. I think it's important as a county official representing District 8 to ensure that when it comes time to build that line, that we recruit, hire, and train Prince George's County residents, folks who live in District 8, to work on those projects. But I am in support of that. I will work with the county government, WMATA, and all of the relevant parties to ensure that we proceed in that manner. But I do want to emphasize that that's a lot of money coming to the county. And oftentimes when we have large portions of money come to the county, our own residents don't receive the benefit of it. And so that's something that I would be laser focused on. I also want to make sure that, yes, we're beefing up National Harbor, which is a positive thing, but there is an issue in South Lawn as it relates to the electricity. Well, I have to stop. I'll come back to that.
Yes, the funds, if they want to give it to us, laser focused on making sure that residents benefit from it. again, as I mentioned before with National Harbor, when funds come in, even though we say we're going to have impact on local minority businesses, if we're not focused on them, our residents don't experience the growth that they should. As far as whether it's the purple line, which I expected you to say, Zeno, or the blue line, if there's a stop, we're going to support it and make sure that whatever the amenities are there to help it. But again, I am focused on saying yes to whatever dollars, whether they're federal, state, or local, but also I want to make sure that our local residents benefit from it. Again, what we had in the past, we had districts 7 and 9 benefit things that were only impacting 8. And we did not get the lion's share of that, and we should have. Thank you.
It's Margot.
Yes, Mr. Knox.
I think that if you know about the Woodrow Wilson Bridge, it's already been retrofitted for fast rail. To bring this across the Woodrow Wilson Bridge and also to National Harbor, I think that's very good, because what it would do is it gives more transportation. It has a greater transportation impact in a positive way. Federal dollars coming into the state, as you know, it trickles down. It goes from the feds, then it goes to the governor, then it comes down. We have to make sure that the dollars that's being earmarked through this super fund, as you mentioned, does come to the county and is used for the benefits of our citizens. So often we are overlooked, but we continue to pay our taxes as it relates to the needs of the state. Now we need the state to consider our needs. And I think that any funds that we are privy to, I will work very hard with my colleagues in the state to make sure that these funds are captured and serve the people. Thank you.
Mr. Mathis.
Once again, I need to hold up this paper. This is where County Executive Curry put me on the Wilson Bridge Committee. And one of the things that happened there, once we designed it to retrofit for a metro, the other thing we did was a spur coming off the bridge directly into National Harbor and a spur coming out of National Harbor directly onto the Wilson Bridge. Now, that alleviates traffic, but it did something I didn't particularly care for, but I compromised. In order to have economic development, you have to have people coming from a big edifice like that into the surrounding communities. Those particular spurs off the bridge allow people to come into National Harbor and out of National Harbor without ever exploring Axon Hill or some of the amenities we have, which in essence does not help to generate economic prosperity. However, 210, again, is something that we did in order to alleviate traffic issues, but I'm more concerned about economic development in conjunction with traffic.
Wow, an exciting topic, guys. I mean, really exciting. You know, 21st century transportation benefits the citizens and the residents of Prince George's County. We reduce CO2 emissions off of our road, from our airways. We also, we take cars off the road, so we reduce traffic congestions off of our roads. And from an economic development standpoint, we bring people to our businesses. And so as far as the type of jobs that are developed in projects like this, we're talking about Black engineers. We're talking about plan development engineers and architects. So there's opportunity for African Americans to thrive in these infrastructure projects. If I'm not mistaken, they even have goals mandated along with the funding. So it's up to leadership to understand how to use these funds and how to develop 21st century economic development that will take our citizens to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. The next question also concerns economic development. Current county statutes stipulate that 40% of county procurement and services contracts should be with local, small, and minority firms. There have been improvements made in recent years, but implementation of the law has been slow and in some cases virtually non-existent. If elected, what steps would you take through the county's legislative and budget process to assure that county departments and agencies abide by the law. We will begin with Mr. Gibson, followed by Tony Knox, then Jerry Mathis, Vernon Wade, and Edward Burroughs. Again, you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Zeno, for accepting my question. As everyone's familiar with, the county just did a disparity study. And again, we're nowhere near that 40%, especially local minority. And again, in some instances, we have to go all the way up either Baltimore City or down into Fairfax just to find qualified folks, which they're not. It's not that they're not qualified, but again, we're not focused on how do we best able our local minority businesses compete for the contracts that the county has. How do we have our residents compete to improve their livelihoods by receiving our tax dollars? And again, not as a handout, but again, how to make sure that we've engaged them. And that's what I'm going to be focused on. I'm going to be part of the council that looks at that disparity study, that comes out with true and tried principles and methods to make sure that our, not only the district, but the county benefits locally. Thank you.
Mr. Knox?
Yes, I was the Minority Business Enterprise Officer at the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission, and I understand a lot of the plights that minority businesses have. Unfortunately, what we find is that percentages aren't working. Percentages, you have, it's like a pie, 90% here, 10% here. It just doesn't work. It's obvious that what we have to do is going to take legal action. My colleague, when I was at the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commissions, was on a plane going to Vegas and was on there with Sandra Day O'Connor, then on the Supreme Court, and asked her that question about Adirondack versus Pena and Croson versus Richmond. And she said, the only way you're going to change these Supreme Court laws is to bring another case to the Supreme Court. So I'm willing to fight to that limit for minority businesses, taking it all the way to the Supreme Court, change the laws to make it more comforting for our minority businesses. Until then, we're going to go with the law of the land, and usually the law of the land is against minority business enterprises. Thank you.
Does that mean, Zeno?
Yes.
Yes. This goes way back to the infrastructure of the county and the pay-to-play politics that we've endured over a long period of time. The Department of General Services were giving out contracts to people outside of the county. Our people weren't getting a piece of the pie. I wrote an action plan for one of the biggest economic engines in Prince George's County, which is National Harbor. And I wrote this white paper and I submitted it to the county, giving them a roadmap of how the problems with African-American and minority contractors and what we need to do for them. As a result, I threatened to sue the county, as Mr. Knox talked about suing, if they didn't come back to the table and adhere to the original memorandum of understanding that Wayne Curry brought. As a result of that, Tony Knox was involved with this. We were able to get CB 23 passed, whereby not only did we get jobs, we got equity at National Harbor. Thank you.
Wow, Zeno, this question has been a question that has come up in just about every forum that you can think of when it comes to trying to elect an elected official, and no one has supplied an answer to that question. And that question is building business capacity in Prince George's County. Building strong business capacity in Prince George's County, whether or not it's a county contract or not, a business must survive. And as long as you have capacity and I'm trying to think of the word, to survive as a business owner, which I am, you tend to get over these hurdles. As far as these minority set-aside contracts in Prince George's County, that's an issue that is of the utmost importance.
Thank you for the question. I've spoken to so many business owners who live in the county that have made clear that they simply cannot do business in the county. we have a lot of our small minority business owners doing more work in Washington, D.C., Virginia, and other places than in Prince George's County. And one of the reasons that they've articulated to me is that the same group of people generally get the contracts over and over again, and they shut them out. I think it's important that we have a very transparent process for these contracts. I think it's important that we break up some of this good old boy system that has left out so many of our local minority businesses. I also agree that when we have these large developments that occur, that the larger contractors need to work with some of our local minority businesses to help build their capacity as well.
Thank you, gentlemen. Education is covered by the next question. With the numerous challenges facing Prince George's County schools, including pandemic-related virtual learning deficiencies, planned school redistricting that is opposed by parents, continuing public disputes between the appointed versus elected school board members, etc., what is your assessment of the state of our schools, and how would you use the council's budget authority to seek greater accountability by school system leadership? We will begin with Tony Knox, followed by Jerry Mathis, then Vernon Wade, Edward Burroughs, and Sidney Gibson.
Well, thank you. At present, the county council's role in education is to approve its budget. That's as far as it can go. It can't change its upset limit. It can make recommendations, and that's pretty much it. The education is more part of the state. And I think there's got to be greater collaboration with the state on county issues in county schools than I think is taking place. Because the laws are written as they are right now, it's very difficult to penetrate that without collaboration. And I've worked with the council, and I will work with the school system to collaborate in a way that brings more uniformness during the budgetary process to make it work. Thank you.
I have often spoken on this issue, either before the school board or the county council. And folks, it's not the money. We have a $2 billion budget, and we've often had the school system funded by our tax dollars and the transfer tax. We spend more per pupil than any other jurisdiction in the state of Maryland, but yet we're at the bottom, only ahead of Baltimore. That should tell us something, that we have a system that's not functional, that is not working, and we need to come back to the table, and we need to demand that our kids, that's our future. We're allowing other people to control the future of our students. And we need to take back control so we can teach our kids to survive here in Prince George's County and in the world. So it's not the money, folks. Don't let them fool you on the money, because we've been getting that money for years. It's the ability to use that money in the proper ways. Thank you.
I'd like to piggyback off of pretty much what the other two gentlemen have stated. It is not necessarily the money, but it's always good to make sure that your school system is totally funded, because we're working with a school system that appears to be funded, but it's already behind. So if you're already behind, the funding that you're receiving is not necessarily adequate funding. So the school system is definitely in need of increased funding. And there's also a need, as a parent PTSA president of a Oxon Hill Middle School and at Crossland, I worked with the PTSA to bring the PTSA into compliance. When your PTSA is in compliance, it's able to receive funding from state, local, and the federal government to supplement programs within the school system to help strengthen programs.
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Mr. Burroughs.
Thank you for the question. As several of the other speakers mentioned, The council's role as it relates to the school system right now is particularly around improving the budget. As a council member, I would take up initiatives that would connect my role as a council member to the school system. For example, during this pandemic, we had tremendous learning loss of some of our most vulnerable students. We had so many students sitting at home by themselves because their parents had to work, and our learning loss data is apparent. So I will work with bringing stakeholders together, such as park and planning, Department of Social Services, to really maximize wraparound services and supports for students, not just during the school day, but after school and over the summer.
And Mr. Gibson?
I'm an educator. For students attending our public schools, we need to ensure they're getting a quality education in a safe environment. I support having a quality teacher in every classroom. Also, I believe we need quality support staff. It's important if your child is having problems reading. It's important if your child is having problems doing math. It's important if your child is having problems doing other writing, other basic school skills. But for us not to say that we have enough money, we're just not using it wisely, I disagree. There are certain areas that we could fund that we could help children to excel. Again, we are limiting them by the opportunities that we're giving them, not for what they can do. So again, educational wise, I mean, again, we as a council member, you have to work with the school system because again, your school board member is going to help as far as saying these are some of the priorities they have. But again, as far as money in schools help if they're put in the right places.
Quality of life is the subject of the next question. How would you use the MGM impact funds to equitably upgrade the quality of life of the people most impacted by the casino? We will begin with Jerry Mathis, followed by Vernon Wade, then Edward Burroughs, Sidney Gibson, and Tony Knox.
First off, we need leaders who understand how to lead. As a owner and CEO of Mathis Realtors, we started from rock bottom, but you have to know how to negotiate. Now with MGM, when the slots issues came in, we didn't properly negotiate that deal. We stated that we would get our funding from the slot machines. Most of the money that you can get, it comes from your table games, but that wasn't put into the memorandum. So MGM opened upstairs and put all table games, and we were out of that. We have to learn to control our economic development, our money. We spend more money as a people than probably 7 or 8 countries in this world. We need to collaborate, get good leaders, and make sure that money is directed to the things that are most important to the quality of life for our citizens. We can do that. We can take care of our seniors, our at-risk youth, but we have to make a commitment for your leaders to do that.
That's a very interesting question related to the quality of life from the funding received from the MGM. I'm trying to figure out how they go together, but the funds used from the MGM should be used towards education, to educate your citizens about gambling. The funds should be used to educate students in science, technology, engineering, and math, to strengthen the programming in your community, to make sure that your residents are educated and responsible. And also pertaining to using funds for senior living, was to make sure that seniors are properly taken care of. I think that there should be funding put aside for that as well. And that's my opinion.
Mr. Burroughs is next.
Thank you. As it relates to the local area that's impacted, one of the things that I would hope to do regularly is meet with that community and the stakeholders at MGM. I want to make sure that there is a clear line of communication between the impacted residents and the individuals who are in charge of the project over at MGM. I think that's vitally important. I think that there's often a disconnect between these large corporations and our residents. I do know that in South Lawn, because of MGM, in part, they're recommending putting a power battery storage facility that is unacceptable in a residential neighborhood. If MGM and Pepco want to be great community partners, it's important that we do not do that, so that we are respectful for the people who are nearest to the property.
Continuing in that vein, I mean, the first thing is that, as I mentioned earlier, the 8th district is getting the same from the intact funds as the 7th and 9th. That's unfair. So again, what would I do? Or what could we do? What if we put an 8 in each K through 3rd class? What if we had a reading instructor, somebody else to help them? I mean, that would be a lasting impact by helping our K through 12, I mean, especially the K through 3rd students. Again, to piggyback on what Sarah Cabot has done with the dictionary project, what if we gave K through 12, or at least 1st through 3rd, an iPad? What can we do to make sure that our children have the tools that they need to succeed? I know we're thinking children are our future. If we don't focus on them, we're going to fall down. We have this opportunity with new funds coming in to help them, and we're missing this opportunity.
It's my turn.
Yes, Mr. Knox.
When the contract was sealed for National Harbor, one thing that was not considered was table games. There's there's so much money in table games, but all we got with video slot machines. And this is where the impact fees are coming from, video slot machines. What we need to do, if there's a way of doing it, and we have to work very diligently in order for that to happen, is we're going to have to change the contract. We're going to have to get the stakeholders that was involved in signing the contract to change the contract. And if we can do that, people say you can't change a contract. Yes, you can. If the incentives are appropriate, you change the contract. That would include table games. That would include those funds that we can bring back to our community. Until we take that step forward in that direction, we won't know what accomplishments we may get. But table games are important, and it will help the aesthetics and also the quality of life of Prince Georgians. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes our first round of questionings. We will now begin posing questions submitted by members of the community. And first question is, do you support legislation that would require an environmental impact statement on all county projects, both private and public? And here we will begin with Sidney Gibson, followed by Jerry Mathis, then Vernon Wade, then Ed Burroughs, and Mr. Knox.
Hey, Zeno, to make us some time. Yes.
Okay.
Who's next?
Vernon Wade, yes.
Who's next? Well, I'm going to go a little further.
Ed Burroughs is after you,
Mr.
Mathis.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Yes,
Mr. Mathis. You can finish your statement, and then Ed Burroughs is after you.
As I said, past is prologue. If you don't know your past, you'll be doomed by it if you don't use it. We need to take control of everything in this county as it relates to us as a people and as citizens. So the question is, Zeno, I kind of missed the question. So, okay.
The question was, do you support legislation that would require an environmental impact statement on all county projects, both public and private?
Absolutely, we need to do that, and that's why we'll get to where we want to go if we do, because we can get money off of that. We can get the developers to pay for our schools and all the other quality of life issues by putting that impact statement on our development.
Yes, I would support it.
I'm sorry, Edward. I'm sorry.
No problem, Jerry.
Yes.
Okay. The next question is, what would you do to attract more high-end stores and restaurants and grocers such as Trader Joe's, Wegmans, and Whole Foods in our area or to our area? We will begin with Mr. Burroughs, followed by Tony Knox, then Sidney Gibson, then Mr. Mathis, and then Mr. Wade.
Yes, I know that there is a potential proposal to bring a high-end quality grocery store to the southern part of the county. And so I do know that at least there are significant discussions around that right now. I would work directly with, there's so many developers that have clients down in South County. I think it's important that we articulate to them the things that we want, the things that we would be supportive of, and then work hand in hand with them to recruit those places to the southern part of the county. I know density was a concern at one point in time, but I do know that we have residents who can absolutely afford those high-end stores and developments. And so we really need to sit the developers down with the community to help recruit those high-end places to our district.
Me?
Mr. Knox.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think first what we need to do is, and I think the organizations that put on this particular forum today could be very beneficial in this. What we need to do is to get to our constituents, find out how they define high end, because what's high end to me may not be high end to someone else. Define what's high end. And if you know that the county executive every year go to an international shopping center convention, I think it's Vegas or it's one of these states, where they start negotiating or at least talking to those type of vendors that you mentioned, we should be a part of that. We should be able to travel with the county executive and have some input on negotiating with different vendors and ask them to come to Prince George's County. I think it's useful. I don't think it's happened before. At least I'm not aware of this happening before, but I think this is what's needed in order to get the benefit of serving our entire community. As a representative of Prince George's County, I would do that.
Ms. Gibson?
At 8:14 p.m., yes, I agree with most of what Mr. Knox said. I agree we need to have people on the phone or on this call and other people who represent the community. We need to sit down with the high end and see, well, what's a win-win? Again, everything's a negotiation, and we have to have everybody see each other's point of view. But again, we can't be willing to give away the kitchen sink on a pipe dream. So yeah, I want all parties to be engaged and come out with a win-win situation if possible. Like I said, I'm not giving away the kitchen sink for this opportunity.
Mr. Mathis?
Yes. First of all, when these big companies and restaurants come to an area, they look at different aspects of that area. One is crime, school system, and other surrounding things that would do good business for them. Even with National Harbor, the owner, Milt Peterson, what he did was when he sent out his prospectus, he let the people know what was happening, and people check on these things, what happens in the area. And as a result, that's why he wants to call it National Harbor, Maryland, instead of Oxon Hill. He even tried to get the zip code changed because people from all over the world and these big edifices, they look at that. So they're not going to come until we get our act together. We spend more money in those other jurisdictions. So they look at the zip code when you go to that cash register to find out where you're from. And they figure if you're coming out there, they don't need to come to you. So we have to start taking our money and putting it back into our community.
Yes, is it my turn?
Yes, Mr. Wade.
It's a great question. I often hear it a lot, and I'm a little perplexed at the fact that Prince George's County is one of the richest Black counties in the nation. And why wouldn't a retailer or a development want to make money is I just can't understand and answer that question. So there's definitely factors as to why that's happening. So what I do is and my son actually works for Wegmans as a college student. He works at Wegmans. That Wegmans is one of the highest grossing Wegmans in the country. And so, and especially in this region. So it's been proven that we spend money in the African-American community. So where my focus is on developing small and minority businesses to be able to fill those voids and those gaps. So if we incentivize small businesses to, with white tablecloth restaurants and grocery facilities and to supply not only these needs and wants, it can be done.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. We're running out of time, but we'll try to squeeze in one or maybe two additional community questions. What steps would you take to ensure District 8 residents are informed of major development in their communities? And how do you plan to inform your constituents of important issues being voted on by the county council? For this question, we'll start with Mr. Wade, followed by Ed Burroughs, then Tony Knox, Sidney Gibson, and Mr. Mathis.
Thank you for that question, Zeno. And I would like to say that I appreciate everyone who participated in this forum. It was a very lively and educational forum. I really learned a lot from my companions as well as the audience. And communication is vitally important. Most often people talk about not being able to receive the information or not in the know. That is something that I will work to improve on. Thank you.
Mr. Burroughs.
You know, so often the community formed of development projects when it's already in the works. And so I believe that we need to set a standard for development in our district, that we inform the community before decisions are made, well before decisions are made, not at the end of that process. What would I do to communicate with my constituents? I hope to, after this election, go around and ask everyone for their email address and their phone numbers. I hope to have town halls. I hope to send them mailers with important updates. I hope to stay very, very engaged with our constituents. I hope to have a very active website that remains updated. And like I said, I would love to do a lot of town halls, both virtual and in person. If there's a development project in a particular neighborhood, I plan to personally go and knock those doors and have those conversations with the residents who are impacted.
My turn.
Mr. Knox.
Oh, sorry. What I would like to do is work very closely with our civic association, homeowners associations, to build them up, to make sure that they are aware of what's going on and they can disseminate that information to their membership. I want to build communities, and I think this is possible. I think that because of the pandemic, everyone is doing Zoom now, like we're doing Zoom right here. I think this should be a continuation, and all platforms should be used to make sure that it touches each one of our residents and inform them of what's going on. It's not impossible. I think it's doable. It's just obvious that it took a situation like, again, the pandemic to bring it to fruition, but it's workable. So I will work very closely with the platforms to make sure that the citizens are aware of the different projects that are going on in their community, beyond just that sign that Park and Planning puts out there on the road that if you drive too fast, you won't see it. But I believe that we can work and get a consensus building through the civic associations, build them to make sure that the information is disseminated to the people in their community. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I would ensure that it's on the county website, my local website as your council person, hold town halls, and exactly push emails and other correspondence to both Civic and Homeowners Association, and of course organizations like IHAC. You know, like we might have to give out Sarah Cabot's home phone number, but no, just joking.
All right, we will close out the community questions with a couple of yes or no questions.
You know, you didn't give me a chance.
I'm sorry, Jerry. Go right ahead.
Okay, as a citizen, I attended all the council meetings and many of the school board meetings that affected the quality of life and uplift me of not only District 8, but the entire county. I will continue to do those type of things. But more importantly, I'm going to take some of those funds and pay a community mayor, somebody that will keep their finger on the pulse of everything that goes on in District 8. That person will not have to call themselves a volunteer. They need to be paid. So that's one of the main things. And I've seen that work in other places. That would be an extension of me to make sure that you are always informed if you can't get to me. But at this time in my life, I'm available and you can always get to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry, and my apologies there. We're going to close out the community questions with a couple of yes/no questions, but feel free to take 10 or 15 seconds or so to elaborate if you would like to. On Route 210, the scene of many auto accidents, fatalities, and excessive speeding, would you be willing to support or even introduce a bill with state representatives? You introduced a bill at the county level to increase the speeding fines along 210. Right now, the speeding fines are $40. Perhaps, as an example, increase the fine from $40 to $1,000 for excessive speeding, and also suspend driver's licenses for a year for multiple offenses. We will start with Mr. Gibson, followed by Jerry Mathis, then Vernon Wade, then Ed Burroughs, and Tony Knox.
Yes, I'll be willing to increase the fine. Yes, I'm looking, or I'd be interested in exploring other options or penalties for habitual violators.
When we developed and designed 210, the purpose was to keep traffic moving, flowing on down to Charles County. Well, the backdrop to that is that people began to speed, and now it's become a real hazard. So yes, I would support any type of deterrent that will stop people from speeding on 210 to take away the actual impact that it does to keep traffic moving. Thank you.
I believe that the traffic fatalities that happen on 210 from speeding and from a numerous other issues, I'm not as sure if I am supportive of doubling fines or because I think that the average person that gets a traffic ticket, it's hard enough for them to even pay that ticket. So if you double it, more than likely they won't have a driver's license. So that then won't be an issue. I think there are other measures like education, being involved in the school system, just getting the information to your community about the dangers surrounding speeding. It will go a long way. I don't believe necessarily monetarily hitting a person in the pocket is the answer. Thank you.
All right. No?
Mr. Burroughs?
Yes, I would support increasing the fees for excessive speeding. One life is too many lost, and 210 is a death trap. 210 is not safe, and we need to send a strong message to people who are on 210 that they must slow down. And so I believe that we should post the signs and let them know that we have double fines on 210 and to slow down. I mean, the goal needs to be, not necessarily to hurt anyone economically, but they need to slow down. And if they don't, there needs to be significant penalties in place, because if not, they can really hurt somebody.
I do believe first in education you should take educational steps first to inform. But I do believe that if that doesn't work, then, doubling the fines may be appropriate. The only question that I have, or the only thing that I think is needed, is to meet with the judges to find out to what extent we have the right to impose this. We can write legislation, but there could be works in progress that's already taken place that deals with excessive fines or with suspending of licenses. We have to look at the individual and understand his and her situation before we just arbitrarily take the license. If they, if they're a breadwinner, it could have a detrimental effect on the family. So arbitrarily, you just can't do that. I wouldn't want to do that. I support it, but I would support it with additional information. And once I found out the information and sit down with individuals, I think the appropriate steps should be taken.
Thank you. And this final question from the community: do you support term limits for all members of the county council? We'll start with Mr. Knox, followed by Jerry Mathis, then Vernon Wade, then Ed Burroughs, and Sidney Gibson.
Yes, I do. I was term limited, so I support it.
I certainly supported term limits. I always have, because we were victims of a system called slates, and those slates engineered getting the people in that the controllers and the developers wanted in, and we had no way of getting them out. So term limits are definitely something I would support, and if they do a good job, then they can stay in and come back. But no, I support term limits.
This is Vernon Wade, and I do support term limits.
Yes, this is Edward Burroughs. I support term limits. I also support returning to a 9-district member council. I've not seen, I'm not sure that we need at-large members, frankly, on our council. And that's not specific to any individuals. I'm just saying as a system, the 9-district system, I believe, works best. And yes, I support term limits.
My name is Sidney Gibson. I support term limits.
Thank you. And this concludes our question rounds. As we near the end of tonight's forum, our candidates will now provide their closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. We will begin with Jerry Mathis, followed by Vernon Wade, then Edward Burroughs, Sidney Gibson, and Tony Knox, in that order. Mr. Mathis, you may begin.
Thank you very much. I was born and raised in public housing. I was born in Barrett Farms, raised in East Capitol dwelling with a single mom. But she was a strong Black woman who raised 7 kids, all successful. I built my business from a shoestring with a dedicated wife who made our business here in Prince George's County. Nobody gave us anything. We didn't ask for anything. We decided it belonged to us and we were going to take it. So I would take that same type of fortitude into the county council. And everything that I've done and talked to you about tonight, I wasn't in office. I did this because I felt to whom much is given, much is required. And I still do it whether I'm in that office or not. The last thing is, I'm willing to give my salary. If you want to talk to, if you believe in what I want to do and that I'm sincere, I'm willing to dedicate my first year's salary of $126,000 to all the ills that we have talked about tonight, to homelessness, to food deserts, to at-risk kids. That's how dedicated I am to you. And I will show you that in all kinds of ways. I am unbought, unbossed, and uncorrupted. Thank you so much for listening to us tonight. I hope you vote for me. Go to my website at www.voteforjerrymathis.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, the residents of District 8, for attending this very important forum. Again, I understand what it takes to raise a family in Prince George's County. I understand the kitchen table issues. I understand keeping food on the table. I understand paying the utility bills. I understand educating your children and paying for college. I understand these issues. They're very important. My family, like yours, seek improved mental health and families with disability resources to heal from trauma and family life. I understand, but together we can build the community where we want to live, work, and play. My idea of a community servant involves next level engagement that empowers each citizen a voice, because ideas are nothing unless we make them real. So if you vote for me, Vernon Wade, District 8 Council Member on January 4th, 2022, a fresh start in District 8, I'll fight for you and your family. Thank you. And I appreciate you for taking the time to come out. You can, of course, reach me and visit my website at friendsofvernonwade.com. Thank you.
My turn?
Yes, Mr. Burroughs.
Oh.
Thank you to all of the organizers for putting on. I also want to thank all of the residents in District 8 for listening and being engaged. Once again, my name is Edward Burroughs. I'm running for the County Council. I want to make sure that we realize our investments. We pay some of the highest taxes in the entire state of Maryland, and it's important that District 8 is treated with the dignity and the respect that we deserve. It's important that we work to bring quality projects to ensure that folks who live in our community can work here and shop here and live here without having to go to DC or Charles County. I also want to make sure that when we have these large projects that occur in this county, that we recruit, hire, and train Prince George's County residents to work on those jobs. I plan to work around a lot of economic issues, pulling people out of poverty and into the middle class, and then supporting folks that we currently have here. And so I appreciate everyone for listening. And you can reach me on my website at www.edwardburroughs.com. Thank you.
First, thank you for everyone for joining us this evening. My name is Sidney Gibson. I'm the son of a school nurse. I attended public schools. I know what it is to be on a school lunch program and what it means to go to school hungry. I was fortunate to have teachers who took an interest in me. I am committed to providing quality education and business opportunities to our residents, but not at the cost of sacrificing our history and precious resources. We are smart enough to do both. For example, at the college, we do both. We engage residents from high school to our seasoned seniors, while not only improving the course offerings, we have streamlined our offering and enhanced our wraparound services to improve student outcomes. We are committed to student success. I'm a nerd. It's important to me that we address the digital divide because, again, as I mentioned earlier, if we don't, we're going to lose a whole generation because they're going to fall behind everyone else. I'm active in the community. I'm active in my church, which is located in Forest Heights and in the Glass Manor and greater Oxon Hill area. We disperse food monthly, which has been during the pandemic one of the big things we haven't talked about recently, again, about how badly our community has been hit by the pandemic, not only in job opportunities, but in food and housing, and how they have impacted us. We haven't talked about, when we talk about public safety, about our police officers, our first responders, our teachers. Are we making it able for them to live in this neighborhood, because they need to be in our community if they're going to participate? I mean, if you go down 210 right now, what do you see a sign? You see a sign from Anne Arundel County, from the police there trying to advertise in Prince George's County. We can't let seasoned officers go. I also believe that we need to have a citizen oversight board for the police officers at the county level with teeth in it. There are a lot of things we need to do, and I'm hoping with your help, we can do this together and move the county forward. Thank you. My name is Sidney Gibson.
First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight and listening to the candidates. I think it's been a very helpful discussion, very learning discussion also. My name is Tony Knox, and I'm running for the 8th Councilmanic seat in Prince George's County. I have proven leadership. I have the ethical experience, and I do believe that I can bring stability to the council. For so many years, I've always wondered, how can we build this county into a way of where people just want to just come and enjoy? We have so much gifted people in Prince George's County, and we're not leveraging the gift that we have. I want to serve you, as Uncle Sam said to me many years ago when they asked that I serve this country. I'm asking you as a candidate for this county council seat number 8 to serve you in this county. We can do dynamic things collectively, but we have to do it together. So often we're on different paths, but at some point in time, we have to come together on a common ground to make the county work. I've worked in this county. I've worked, again, in the military. I've worked at WSSC. I have the leadership and the experience to walk in on day one, hit the ground running. I do not bring chaoticness to the government. I bring leadership to the government. And with your help, it will be proven leadership. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for listening. And please vote on January 4th. Go to my website, www.tonyknox.com, for more information. Have a good evening.
Thank you, candidates. That concludes tonight's forum. We want to thank the South County Economic Development Association for virtually hosting this forum, and the rest of the South County Alliance partner organizations for their input into tonight's candidate forum. We also thank the candidates for their participation. Most of all, we thank you, the voters, for participating. As a reminder, the special election primary is Tuesday, January the 4th, and I'll ask our host to put that slide up. Polls will be open on election day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. For individuals wishing to vote by mail, ballots for the primary election will be mailed in mid-December to every eligible voter residing in County Council District 8. And the mailing will include a postage paid return envelope. Now, if you prefer to vote in person, you may do so on election day or during the early voting period. Early voting for the primary will be December 27th through the 30th of this year, and January 2nd through the 3rd in 2022. Polling places for early voting will be open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. each day and 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. Please register and please exercise your right to vote in the special primary election. Now, the special general election is scheduled for February the 1st, 2022. At that time, the winner of the special primary election may have to face off with another candidate, Ebony Johnson, who is trying to qualify as an independent candidate. If she is successful in qualifying for the general election, our alliance will sponsor another candidate debate in January featuring Ms. Johnson and the winner of the special primary election. Our alliance also is discussing other candidate forums to hold for the 2022 elections. As our plans come together, we will notify the community and will look forward to seeing you, your friends and neighbors at those candidate forums as well. Good evening, stay safe, and happy holidays to all. Thank you.
Thank you.